Hi, Tom Cole, the coach for Steve Taylor's Community Connection. And I'm here with the real coach, Coach Jason Dixon. Coach, you're a community advocate, long coaching career, motivational speaker. You're lifting kids in our community every day. I had the privilege to attend one of your basketball camps at the Belief Center, and the kids were fantastic. You did a great job with them. And people don't know how hard that is to do. I know it's a labor of love for you, but to take 35 kids, maybe they're fourth and fifth grade, and or sixth grade, whatever it is, and you're trying to teach them something. You're trying to communicate. You're trying to teach them a little basketball, teach them a little bit about life and how to conduct themselves to be successful. That's not easy, and you do it so seamlessly. You do it so well. What's your secret?
Well, first of all, thank you for having me on the show. That's a great question. Sometimes I find myself in awe when I'm doing it. I just kind of lose myself in the moment.
Okay.
And having a coaching background, my dream and vision has always been to find a way to fuse sports and life together.
Right.
And so when I'm coaching students on the basketball court or in any other capacity, I try to find a way to intersect it with life and make it very practical, because the reality is a lot of these kids are not going to become professional athletes. They're probably not going to even play in high school or college.
Right.
So how can we make the game fun and then apply it to life? Like, so if you're motivated to make a shot or make a pass in sports, like how can we connect that to like being motivated to show up to class on time, to turn in your homework on time, to respect your teachers, your peers on time. So we try to make that connection between sports and life. And it's not always easy, but it is fun when they get it, when it clicks.
Yes, yes. Jason, I had a really smart person tell me one time, of all the kids in high school in the United States, and I don't know what that number is, but you can imagine it's a pretty big number. Every high school in the United States, only 2% of those kids can make a high school football team. Then he told me only 1% of the 2% can make a college football team. I'm not talking about being a star.
Yeah.
I'm talking about making the team.
Yeah.
So you go from 2% in high school, 1% to make a college team, and then of course the obvious one, then in the NFL, to your salient point, it's like 1/2 of 1% could make a living in the NFL for less than 4 years.
Yeah.
So, sometimes we get caught up in the dream of that. And if that's your dream, that's great. Go get it. God bless. Hope it works out for you. But you better have a suitable backup,
Right.
because the odds of those things are very, very difficult. And I noticed with your kids, you kind of taught them how to listen. Listening is so important. The kids all get going and they want to talk and a lot of times they don't listen to what's being taught or what's being said. I thought your kids were great at listening. And is that something you work with them? And
it takes time. It takes time. I have a lot of experience working with kids from all ages, from elementary to college age students. And one thing I found is that, the saying, they don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. And I was saying, like, connection before correction. So
give me that again. I like that.
Connection before correction.
I love that. Okay.
Before I try to correct a student in any capacity, whether it's sports or life, I want to make that connection.
Yes.
I want to build that relationship so I have that credibility with them to know that I'm not just saying stuff to help get them on the right path, but I'm fully invested in their well-being.
That what you said is such great import, because I had the privilege to coach for 30 years, high school and college. And if the youngster, whether it's high school or college, doesn't make any difference, if they do know that you care about them, they will take constructive criticism.
Right.
They will take it and they will get better. They'll be better. But if they don't think you care about them and you start with it's always a tear down, it's never a lift up, then they tune you out and you're done.
Absolutely.
So one more time, connection before correction.
Connection before correction. And I use that with coaches, with teachers, educators, parents. I mean, across the board, like, again, young people don't care how much you know. And that goes for any adult who's trying to build a relationship with young people. They need to know that you care before they actually are going to buy into what you're trying to sell them.
Coach, that's a great axiom, not just for people teaching and coaching, working with young people. You could be used professionally in jobs.
Absolutely.
And I think that's one of the reasons, among many, that Steve Taylor's so successful. he openly shows he cares about you. Whether
Right.
you're the lowest person on the totem pole or the top person on the totem pole, you can walk in. You saw his door was open, right?
Right,
We just popped in,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
How many leaders of companies like Taylor, this size, you just walk in and see
Yeah.
the boss,
Right. Or
and
the
he wants
door
to,
shut.
and he wants to say hello,
Yeah.
and he wants to know, what's your background story, what are you going to interview about, da 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 da.
Yeah.
I mean, he openly shows that he cares about everybody in his employ. And I think that gives them such a huge advantage because anytime I think China and Corey, doing our great video work as always, would back me up on this. When a boss like that asks you to do something, you run and do it as fast as you possibly can.
Absolutely.
So it could be applied. That concept could be applied to anything.
Absolutely, yeah. It's like, the metaphor that we use in sports. I know that, like, you want to get players to run through a wall for you.
Right.
Like, and that tells you how much they bought into what you're selling, how much they want to go the extra mile. So you're right. It applies to corporate America, any job that you're working, just all across the board.
I think kind of a practical example of that this Indiana story.
Yeah.
I mean, I think I did a video on it the other day, and I don't mean it to be hyperbole, but I think they're really in a position to kind of, with all the portal and the money and the horrible things that have gone on in college football, they are kind of saving college football in that these kids were all 3-star recruits. Ohio State, everybody on the team is a 5-star recruit, right? Michigan, same way. Texas, same way.
Yeah.
There wasn't one 5-star recruit on that team. They're all 3 stars. The quarterback was a guy from no place that nobody wanted, went to a junior college and then went to another place, And what they've done is so incredible. What they did to Alabama last week on TV,
Yeah.
I couldn't even believe what they did to Alabama.
Yeah.
But there's a feeling on that team when the guys are interviewed, they're one, they're together, they support each other, it's team. And the coach has built that kind of construct.
Yeah.
And it's amazing the things that you can do. I wouldn't say they could beat anybody.
Yeah,
the way that
absolutely.
so it is a powerful thing when you build that feeling of believing, being part of a team, we can do it. Because that's what Steve does here at Taylor.
Yeah.
We're all part of a team.
Yeah.
And I think there isn't anybody at Taylor that doesn't feel like they're not seen as being important. And I think that's part of your philosophy is every kid who comes in your area, they're important, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And that's my mantra. I want to make them feel like they're a part of a family.
Yes.
They're a part of a team, because when they walk out of that gym, when they walk out of that classroom, wherever we are doing our thing, when they leave, we don't know what environment they're going back into. So we want to make sure that when we have them in that moment, that they feel seen, supported, and safe. They feel loved, and they feel like they connected with everybody else that was in that vicinity. So we definitely want to make it feel like a team, and give them the belief and the mindset that when they leave us, they can go anywhere else in their life and win.
Wow.
And I use that word a lot because we apply it to sports, but I use the word win to help them understand, like, you can do the same thing in school. You can win in whether you're playing chess, whether you're trying to, whether you're doing a science project. I want you to have the mindset that I'm trying to win, and not to compete against other people, but just win against yourself. Be the best version of yourself in whatever you do.
That is such. I can see why the camera doesn't lie, and when you get somebody on camera, I'm not smart enough to tell you why the camera does it or even how the camera does it, but I will tell you the camera reveals who a person is, whether they're sincere, unique, well-intended. The camera does that. You have that voice integrity and that quality of, gosh, coach is for real. He's really trying to help kids and make a difference. And some of your kids, unfortunately, and it happens in every form of society, they may not have mom and dad at home. Maybe it's just mom, and maybe mom's working 3 jobs to keep the family going. Or maybe it's just dad, and he's working a couple of jobs. A lot of the traditional family settings don't exist today. 2 parents, there's always somebody home, and, everything's stable and solid. Not necessarily the way it is today, and that's even harder for kids, right?
It is. It absolutely is. And this is one of the reasons why I invite my students to call me coach. whether I'm coaching them in sports or whether I'm in a school speaking, I go by Coach Jason. I want them to get used to calling me coach because I want them to understand when they're in my presence, like I'm going to coach them. I'm going to lift them up. I'm going to help bring the best out of them in whatever way I can. And I want them to understand that, again, like I want to see them win.
Right.
And we apply that to coach when everybody, and you know, like when you play sports or even when you were a coach, when you came around and people say, hey, there's coach, like the body language changed,
Oh,
the
absolutely.
mindset changed. So I want kids to feel that way when they see me, not fear, but all excitement, like accountability and hope. Like, oh, there's coach. Like, I know that it's going to be a good day. I know that I'm going to be pushed to the limit. I know that somebody's going to help me be the best I can be.
I, like you, have been called coach all my life, and it is you couldn't be given a nicer name.
Yeah.
Because it implies that you care, and it implies that you're trying to help and lift and do all those things. Jason, you have such a great message. You should be out, speaking to kids all over our community and schools. Are you doing that? Are you getting in schools, or do we need to help open doors for you? Because you have a great message.
I am, and I could always help.
Okay.
It could always use the help. But yes, I am. I'm from Toledo, native of Toledo. I've received a lot of support from my hometown, and I also speak outside of Toledo as well. So the message has been well received, and really my ultimate goal is to help kids graduate. Like that's the ultimate mission. Like again, applying it to sports. When we don't play sports just to participate, right? There's an end goal.
Oh, absolutely.
And for a lot of participants in sports, like they want to get that trophy, they want to win that championship. So when I talk to students, like, what's your championship? And that championship is graduation. Like 100%. When you receive that diploma, you should feel the same euphoria that an athlete feels when they win the championship. Right? I got this diploma, I graduated, I want bigger and better things.
Do you get into TPS to deliver? Because Dr. Durant would love this message. Are you?
Yeah. I'm in TPS doing different things, and the door's open in a lot of different places, and I would love to continue to share this message at TPS and other school districts as well.
A lot of people can get on the perimeter of that message, but you're right to the heart of it, and I love how you talk about winning, because I think our society sends a wrong message. Everybody wants to win. I never went out on a field as a coach or a player where I said, boy, I hope they kick the bejeebers out of us today. I hope we lose 50-0. I'm looking forward to it. Nobody goes out hoping to lose.
Yeah.
Nobody starts a job hoping to lose. Everybody wants to win. But I don't know that kids or young adults or even middle-aged adults are taught what winning really is.
Yeah.
And I was in a Michael Jordan speech one time, and he, how did it go? He took... He missed 9,000 shots in his career. 9,000 shots. Everybody thinks of Jordan.
Right.
And he took 26 last-second shots to win the game that he missed.
Yeah.
Life isn't like that. No matter how great you are, you're going to struggle. You're going to have ups. You're going to have downs. And what sports should teach you, what life should teach you, is there isn't failure. There's no failure.
Yeah.
There are experiences.
Yeah.
I'm learning. What did I do wrong here? What can I do better the next time? But there isn't failure.
Right.
All people ask you today and things like, did you win or did you lose?
Yeah.
And if you won, you're a winner. And if you lost, you're a loser. And it's absolutely untrue.
Yeah.
But they don't understand. So your message is important for young people because maybe they're getting a D in math. But they fix it, ameliorate that situation, and who knows, they may go on to be an engineer someday.
Yeah,
I mean, I heard that Einstein flunked math in grade school.
Really?
You don't know,
Yeah, you're right.
You don't know what skills and talents people have. You keep plugging away, you keep grinding, you keep working, and then, and the harder you work, one thing I've learned is, and you know this, Coach, because you do it, the harder you work, the luckier you get. It's hard work.
Things are going to fall into place.
Yeah.
And you're right. And I was that D student. Right? I always tell people I loved math up until 7th grade.
Yeah.
When, you start doing geometry and all the other, and when numbers became letters, and I'm like, what is this? But I loved math up until that point. And I think around that time is when I kind of lost my passion for it. So I was that student, but luckily I had people in my life who saw the potential in me and kept pushing me. And when you talk about winning, I heard a quote the other day, and I want to see if I get this right. It said that winners don't care who's in a race. They just love to run.
Right.
And so that really resonated with me because it was impressing upon people. Like a lot of times when we're trying to win, we're looking around at our competition. We're looking at who we have to go against.
Right.
And what that quote was telling me is that it doesn't matter who's in the race. If you love to run, if you love to do anything, like you're not worried about winning because you've already won. Just getting in the race and actually doing it is winning.
Right.
And a lot of times we focus on the end result. But like you said, you use that example of getting a D. Maybe you went from an F to a D. Like that's success.
Right.
Like improvement, growth is success.
Right. You know, it's amazing to me. It just, everyone has unique skills, unique talents, and you just have to find a way to work long enough and hard enough to get to those skills and talents. What you start out doing might not be what you end up doing, but if you do something you have passion, you're doing something you have a passion for, right? So it's not work to you, really. You're not working. And I can tell you that all of us at Taylor here, and I don't mean it to sound corny, but it's not like it's work. I mean, we're doing things that we like and we feel good about. You know, I try to tell young people to follow a passion. They always ask, well, what does it pay? What does this pay? How much money am I going to make it? Follow your passion, whatever that is, and eventually if you do that, the money will come with it. The money will come with it eventually.
Yeah.
So follow your passion. Yeah. And because if you're doing something you don't like, then it's not passion. So Coach, you're making a difference in our community every day.
You as well.
We're so proud to have you here.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. And you're going to love, you did a great job. You're going to love your video. It's good.
You made me look good.
No, it's the other way around, actually. Tom Coley, coach for Steve Taylor's Community Connection.